4, 3, 2, 1. Watch me. Level up, level up, level up, level up.
Of course, when I start a video, a rooster crows. Speaking of roosters, here comes little Fester. Hi, handsome boy. Hi, you're so handsome. Oh, thank you. So that was a good morning from Fester. So my last videos, I had really bad audio issues. So we're just kind of starting fresh. I just sold Dip, my Frisian sport horse, yesterday. He is away for a 7-day trial of sorts, just to make sure like it's a good fit, things like that. I always offer to buy back my sale horses because I want them in the best place possible, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm just gonna dump off a horse to you if it's not a good fit and be like, oh, sorry about your luck. So she's really great. I'm really excited for him. He is in paradise. Anyways, as I was saying, he's in great hands. He's in a great home. I absolutely love his new owner. She is so funny and so sweet, and she has an absolute paradise of a farm. Sorry, not really good at tangents yet, but he was a really cool transformation. When I got him in, he was pretty, I didn't realize it at the time, but he was actually like kind of a string bean. But because he is half Frisian, I think I just kind of thought he was thick, because by a lighter boned breed standards, he was thick, but for his physique, what he should be, he was a string bean. So he really beefed up. I'll put his transformation picture there. But yeah, he really beefed up, and by the time he left yesterday, I was like, oh man, like he's looking so good. Like, it's so hard when you get them to that point to let them go, because it's like, dang it, I put in so much work and, you know, getting to that baseline, but it's okay. It's part of the job. It's what we do. We help them and we place them. But he looks amazing now, and under saddle, he's been so freaking good. We've been using the TRT method. I just did like a 2-week boot camp of it with him, and incredible. His body awareness is so much better. You can really see the wheels turning in his head. I love the TRT method. I don't think I'll ever go back to using anything else. I do like some components from Yvette's Featherlight Academy, but I felt like with Tristan's teachings, I really understood what the goal was and how to get there, and the how and the why, which is so important to me, especially when I was training dogs. That's how I taught. So I really appreciate being able to learn from that same method of teaching, and the difference in Dip was incredible. So 10 out of 10 recommend TRT if you're gonna follow any training method. And we're actually gonna use it today for my Mustang Jasper, because now that Dip is away at his new home, I have a lot more time for Jasper. I've been letting him settle in. He is unhandled. He's between 13 and 15 years old, but oh my God, his personality, the sweetest little dude, and so smart. So I'm really excited to work with him today, and let's get the day started. So this is my current feeding routine. It is painfully simple. I feed forage based. So I feed a ration balancer, and as needed, I do feed like little calming supplements like chamomile, valerian root, magnesium, just simple stuff. Like, that's kind of as complicated as my feeding routine will ever get. And I love L-tryptophan. It's by Bulk Supplements. I'm sure that's backwards, but you get the idea. It helps promote dopamine and serotonin in the brain, I think. I'm gonna put a link here because I could be spouting bullshit. I don't know. I can't remember at this moment. I have the file on hand for the correct answer, so if that was not correct, I'll put it. But it just helps with training and learning and coding new information without stress. So basically brain food in a powder. And I feel like I noticed a difference in my horses. Everybody's different. But without further ado, let's feed some horses. for my goats pity breakfast because they don't need it. And also pity breakfast for Millie the mule so she feels included, and obviously she needs some nutrition. Not much, but some. I feed about, what is this? 1/4 of a teaspoon of the L-tryptophan. And then for Jasper, he also gets about this much of magnesium oxide, which comes out to, I believe, 2 tablespoons. The great thing about magnesium oxide is you can't overfeed it. They'll just get rid of the excess, so don't be scared. They love cinnamon. It's really good for hiding the taste of the tryptophan because it's pretty metallic-y.
Oh, delicious.
So all of my horses eat 24/7 forage. They never, ever, ever go without hay. They still have a full double bag out there, but I'm gonna fill the rest here, and then we're gonna load it up in the gator and not whack. We're not gonna whack ourselves in the face with the carabiner. We're gonna load it up, take it out, drag the pasture, and then we're gonna go ahead and work with Mr. Jasper. So we're gonna go from some empty hay bags to
Wow.
usually takes me a good like 10 to 15 minutes to stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, usually 5 bags. Today it was 4. I'm not gonna stuff this one because they still have a full double bag out there. And yeah, let's go ahead and put breakfast out.
Love me, feed me, never leave me.
Good morning. This is Tilly, the resident sheriff goat. You're so cute. She's got a lady beard and she runs the show here. And then we have our brainless friend, Tira. Yeah, she's a little more shy than Tilly. And she has no thoughts. No thoughts. None at all. Good morning, Millie the mule. Miss Millie Rock. And then very, very cautious Jasper. All right, now that the pasture is as beautiful as it's gonna get, and by beautiful I mean only a face a mother could love, we're gonna, oh Lord, beautiful. I'm a knucklehead and I lost my mic transmitter, so we're just gonna have to do voiceovers for this video. So this is how I still have to get Jasper's halter on. Since this session, he's actually so much better and you can pretty much put it on like a normal halter, but I still have to utilize his breakfast and a little bit of target training to get this on. But this is how it used to be. So we have come a long way from the beginning. He used to just dip his nose in and dart out with his payment before I could even move it up on his nose. So we're proud here. All right, coming out the gate with the measuring the distance from TRT. It's what we always start with per their recommendation. And Jasper is extremely sensitive, as you'll see. As soon as you turn around or make a correction, he's like, oh dear God. So you have to be really quiet with your corrections and to give him time and space to process. But he did great at the end. He really understood it and he wasn't stressed. And then we move on to body awareness. He's super tight in the head and neck because when he spooks, he lifts his head into the sky and runs for the hills. So he's naturally very tight in those areas and he didn't really want to give in to relaxing. So we kind of ran away, avoided it as best we could until he finally faced the music and began to drop his head into a neutral position. And he's so much better after this session. This was his first time, so understandably very hard. And he is really, really sensitive on the right side, and he would love to just run away from me whenever I work on the right side of his body with anything. So as you can see, we're going for a little stroll, an unprompted stroll at that. And I sped it up because it took forever for him to release this side. and he'll eventually get away from me, as you'll see here in a second. I'm not Superwoman, so sorry about it. He got away from me for a little bit, but we just put the pressure back on, try to relax that muscle, and he does eventually give in, and he was much faster after this. And there it is, just a little one. And then moving into the upper neck, that one felt good for him. And then a little dog ear scratch, how cute. And then here comes the whip.
Oh my God! What is that?
Clearly, it does not take a rocket scientist to realize he was not vibing with it at all at first. So I really just tried to get his body soft, moving on a pattern and looking at it before coming to a halt and lowering his neck and processing the experience without just running away. So I'm not even mad at this. Like, although this is a nervous behavior, it's still a processing behavior. We're actively trying to think about what we could do with our body and how we're thinking to make ourselves feel better. So he definitely started out pretty reactive, and especially on the right side, as I mentioned, but so much better. Look at us. We're thinking, and this horse used to shut down at the slightest question or challenge. So I was really thrilled with him. I was able to tap him a little bit. I brought the whip all over and down his body, and he was really doing his best, as he always does. Now, the girth area is going to be really, really tricky for him because clearly he does not respond all that well to pressure. It just makes him go away. So I anticipate this being an issue when it comes time to teaching under saddle behaviors. So we'll have to go extremely slow, as we always have with him. But this will definitely be something to work on in the future. Something I anticipate being an issue. But he had this thing where he would look back at it and go, oh my God, it's on me. So getting him to actually look and see over his shoulder out of both of his eyes is going to be a challenge, especially when I bring in the tools. And I'm only doing this so early on because I need the whip to direct his body and influence his posture, hence why we're kind of moving into this territory so soon. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it at all.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you an extinction burst. So obviously I had been working this for a long time and he was going great, but his right side is his vulnerable side. So we just had a really strange extinction burst like reaction. I don't even know if I can call it that because it's so early on in modifying the behavior, but it happened. Can't change it. So it was quick to work through, again, get him back to what is hopefully the new normal. And since this session, he has not offered a reaction like this again. He's been very soft. So I guess he just jumped the gun and had a really early extinction burst.
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama.
So we ended on a good note. I gave him a ton of cookies, and normally he doesn't take cookies from hands. It has to be from a feed pan, so I just took advantage of his curiosity. And my friend showed me this video from Family Guy, and I feel like it encapsulates all horses' moods, and especially Jasper's, because he's so dramatic.
I hate this. When do I get my cookie? I just want my cookie so I can go home.
Okay, so my phone dropped down to 10%. Now it's at like 2%. So my pivot stopped tracking, but as you can see, Jasper is pretty reactive. He's very unhandled, but I feel like he did really well. He did soften his body both sides each way in reaction to the whip. I do need the whip to help him with his foot placement and how he carries his body. So desensitizing him and getting him confident with it today was first and foremost, where I normally wouldn't work with a tool straight away based on what I've learned from TRT. But the tool we need to move to other tools is scary. So we had to start there. But I was really happy with him. By the end, he was ears forward, curious about cookies, and he's not very good at taking treats, but he was really confident in the end, and he was calm when I put him away. He's happily eating hay with Millie right now. So we'll keep building on it tomorrow. I'll probably go in there and groom him, give him some scratchies. It's his favorites. Just to make sure he really enjoyed the end of the session at least and learned what he needed to learn. So we'll see how he applies the skills tomorrow. And yeah, that wraps up today, and we'll be back tomorrow. Well, it's definitely not tomorrow, but it is our third session, and he is so much better. So we start with following the distance. I'm out of frame, but he stops pretty much immediately. And here is an example of one of our corrections when he crept up on me. Crept? I don't know. But no more crazy reactions, which was really great. We were still stiff in the scapula. I think that's their scapula. Sounds about right. But as you can see, he is leaving me in the dust. He's not really appreciating it, but much faster than the first session. And the difference in this session was that he'd actually look at what was concerning him and then relax. And in this case, it was me getting him to relax his neck muscles and his shoulder. So we moved to the other side. He's not so fabulous. But again, not bad at all, and releasing much quicker, relaxing much quicker. We actually got to focus on the upper neck today, and as soon as I'd apply pressure, he would twist his neck and kind of put it sideways, so definitely very tender, as you can see here. But he was quicker to relax it than to evade me, so I was really pleased with him. And then we moved into where the neck ties into the chest, and he was even letting that go. And then moving on to turning on the forehand, moving it at not much of a distance. Now, these are not impressive steps, but he's not panicking. So I just take any small try and I run with it and I let him rest. And it's more of a backward step than, a behind and a cross step. But again, small try, and I don't want to flood him, so there's an incorrect step. So I try to reset him as calmly as possible and get the right steps, because as soon as he offers the step, he just continues moving. So what I'm trying to help him understand is we turn and we rest. And then moving on to moving the hind end. This one, he tends to not cross over, which I've never had a horse that struggles with stepping under and across in the hind end, but he does in particular. So getting the correct steps is more important to me than where his head is, so I'll adjust that later. And today was different because we were able to enjoy cookies in between the questions and challenges. So I was so excited about that, and I definitely gave him a ton. And then bringing in the whip again, as you guys probably remember, he was very explosive with the whip, but we were able to start at a really easy, soft question and then move it all over his body, not really caring. And it got to a point where he actually didn't really believe the question worth answering, obviously not here because he's moving around, softening his body, exhibiting that processing behavior that we're trying to teach him. So this took a hot minute, there's no doubt about that, but eventually he looks back at it and relaxes instead of looking back at it and spooking, which I thought was a huge improvement. And then getting him to relax again, getting him used to it, because I really wanted to use the whip today to influence his body and his positioning with moving the forehand and the hindquarters. So here we go, first try, and we are nervous. We want to get out. We don't want to be here. We're going to stress eat. We're not actually relaxing and putting our head in neutral position. We are stress eating. So we're going to ask again, just small, and we're not resting. We are leaving. We are very much escaping. So going back into asking to the right, stress eat. That's the answer, stress eat.
Stop, I can't take any more. I can't do this.
He eventually calmed down and realized I was not trying to eat him with the whip. And I was able to work on how he steps under himself. And look at that body position. That was pretty good. And then I started to combine everything. So turning him on that forehand, behind and across, gently transitioning into the hindquarters so I don't flood him and create a tantrum. And look at that. We're doing it. And then we moved over to the clock shape because I felt like we could really just add a new element, piece it all together. And it wasn't fabulous. I was moving with him, but it was still really good. And then in between, I would try to do something a little more intense with the whip to get him used to movement behind him on both sides. And you see he's not cool with it, but this was his initial reaction when he realized he wasn't cool with it, was to move his body in a softer way, to look at it from the corner of his eye, and just to walk through it, to think through it. Like, okay, obviously I'm not fucking with it, but I'm gonna figure out how to. We're gonna use the tools that this two-legged is giving me, and we're gonna process this like a big boy. So he moves around quite a bit. We're still walking, we're still thinking, stopping, and loading complete. Such a good boy. And then we're gonna move back into the clock shape, and we're gonna refine the hind end a little bit more. You're gonna see he gets a little bit upset because I tap on his hindquarters because they were lagging, all the things. He was upset. He did not appreciate that constructive criticism, but we can't just be moving like that. That's a circle. That's not a clock shape. So I try to get him to settle back down, and then we just give him a second. He got a couple decent steps in, so I just took it, and then we moved back into it. We were less offended by the constructive criticism, so much so that we just didn't even want to try. We started to shut down. So I increased my energy with it, got a couple decent steps. I moved to his easier side so that he didn't lose confidence or interest in the activity. And then I ask him again. I say, hey, can you move a little bit more fluidly? He says, I'll think about it, lady. And he does. I feel like he did really well with it. Like, maybe tomorrow I won't have to follow him as closely. I'm hoping, but I was still really happy with it. So these were the final pieces of this session, just revisiting moving the forehand because he was the most reactive about that, and then breaking it up by tapping him with the whip again. Of course, he's good on the side. We move to the right, and he just kind of shuts down a little bit, so I get him moving to think, process, and then I was really shocked by how much pressure I was able to apply with the way I was tapping. You'll see at the end, because we remember how explosive he was the first day. So we ended really well today. We had lots of cookies during our session, and I was just overall really thrilled with him. So see you guys next time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, level up, level up.